Daughter of the King is about a girl named Ashley Miller, and she's trying to move beyond her past. She did a lot of bad things and is trying to get past it, but unfortunately, because of her past, she still owes a large debt to a man named Hadar. And so he comes back in and forces her back into a lifestyle that she really doesn't want to be in. And the story's, just about her trying to survive in the world that she's thrust into. Looking into the character of Ashley, it was really interesting because a lot of the things that she was in the past and then is forced to do in her present is completely opposite of what I have experienced in my life. I had to do a little bit of research, because Ashley was into drugs and stuff, and I've, never experienced or ever done anything like that. So just trying to find out what that whole lifestyle is about and, what that does to the body and to the mind. I talked to a lot of people, some people who have done drugs, just to get that firsthand experience on what could happen. And just kind of develop that because, when it comes to, things like that, it's not one universal thing that's going to happen to everyone. Each experience for each person is different. So then it just kind of came down to choosing what would have been Ashley's reactions to things like that. And we're all going to have bad days and we're all going to have bad moments. And, you have to allow yourself to live that. And it sucks for a little bit, but it does get better. I do kind of have to live it because if I disconnect myself from it, then, I'm not portraying Ashley as she needs to be portrayed. I'm not showing what she's going through. When I'm in there and we're filming, I have to, be there. So for me to get to those spots, it's a lot of thinking and looking for that parallel between what has happened or what could happen in my life and how I would react to that versus what is happening to Ashley and how she reacts to that. And the surprising thing for me was to find out that a lot of the things that Ashley goes through just kind of touch the surface on what a lot of women have to go through. Maybe one of these girls sees this movie and gets the help she needs and can get out, or, anyone in general, not even talking about girls who, have to prostitute or do anything like that. Just anyone who's struggling with anything and anyone who's in a really dark place, there's always help. There's always people around, and I know it can be terrifying. I've gone through it before where I know I need help, but I'm terrified to ask because you really start to believe that just no one's going to be there, and that when you talk, people might not believe you or take you seriously. The only thing I can hope for in making movies is that even if I change one person's way of thinking or change the way their life is, then I did my job. The purpose is to entertain, but I don't know if this movie is meant to entertain in that, obvious way of, you go to the movies, have a fun night and do that. This has a little bit more of a message behind it and hopefully a point, because it's surprising, like I said, what really does go on behind closed doors and what happens that most people don't know about. It was a real eye-opener for me to learn about what a lot of these women and girls go through, and I've heard some really amazing stories of people getting past the difficult times in their lives, and they're doing great, and they're amazing people. Just because someone has to sell their body or sell drugs or do anything like that, it doesn't make them a bad person. You can't tell just by looking at someone. You don't know what their story is. And I think that's an important thing too, is not to judge. Because a lot of times on first glance, people come off, you don't even hit the surface of who they are. They could be wearing the wrong clothes or have their hair the wrong way or, just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And even people who, we all live double lives, I guess, in a way. So it was important for me to remember just not to judge people just by first look, take the time to get to know someone and hopefully help them if I can. Hadar is, I guess for lack of a better term, the devil for Ashley. He is the one that when she was going down a dark path pulled her in even further, and she basically had to sell her soul for him. She sold drugs for him before she got busted and spent time in prison, and then he's the one who brings her back to it. He controls her, in, you know, almost every sense that you can think of, physically, mentally. But she is able to get past that because no one can really control another person. The control comes from what you allow them to. And for a long time, Ashley allowed Hadar to control her life. And when she finally stood up for herself and took her control back, you know, she was able to get out of it and find her strength that way. Strength's an interesting thing for me because it does come from many different places, but I find in the end, it really does come from yourself. And I think that's so important for every person to find the strength within them. When you're at your lowest point, there's not always going to be someone there for you. And that's what's hard, because as humans, we always crave that connection. We crave that human interaction. But the strength comes from inside you, and that's one thing I really hope from this movie. I hope someone can find the strength in themselves, because I still, to this day, have to find the strength in me sometimes. So that's really important to me to get that message out. Well, I think Nadia did really help. Now, for the character of Ashley, her strength comes from her faith, but strength can come in so many different ways and from so many different places. So for Ashley, that was her big thing. Nadia gave her the faith, which gave her the strength she needed to get out